please take their seats and sign in. Yeah, we're good. We're good. I got 15, so I think so. Members, please log in, and we'll go ahead and let me see. I think we've got a quorum. Go ahead and open the board for roll call. Has every member hit their buttons?
You said the last one.
Yeah. All right, Powers is in. Is that everybody? Madam Clerk, you close the board for roll call. Announce the members.
Mr. Chair, you have 15 members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. I hereby call State and Local Government Committee to order. We have done our roll call. Do any of the members have any personal items or announcements? We will start with Vice Chairman Wright. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Point of personal privilege for me today. I have been shadowed. Miss Rebecca Standing and a mom. Is mom with you? No. Okay. That's Miss Rebecca. She's from Anderson County. Thanks for being here.
Representative McCallum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, members. With me today, I too have a shadow from the Student Eagle Forum. I've got Miss Kaylin Jameson and her mother, Kara Jameson. They are visiting from Christiana. Make them feel welcome, please.
Representative Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also have a shadow today. Caleb is sitting down here. If he would stand up, he's actually a constituent of Representative Eldridge. And I get the honor to have him with me today. So if you would, make him feel welcome. Thank you.
Representative Chisholm.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want you all to help me give a shout out to Ed Trust, to some of the students that are here from Chattanooga, I believe. So make them feel welcome. Mr. Chairman, also I see Michael Thompson in the audience, the Shelby County Budget Director. Let's give him a hand.
Representative Bricken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also have a shadow today from Jefferson City, Miss Daisy Maxwell. Good to see her here, so give her a shout out.
Representative Eldridge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I too have a shadow. A young man by the name of Lane Dickinson. And Lane, if you would stand up. And he is also from Morristown, Tennessee.
Chairman Rudd.
Thank you. Also have a shadow, Caden Alberback. He's a 10 Eagle from Murfreesboro. Please give him a warm welcome.
Chairman Littleton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm very lucky today to have two shadows. I have Lydia Harshberger. She's in the 8th grade. She comes from Anderson County, and this is her first time at the Capitol. Now stand up. And the other is Caitlin Morgan, a 12th grader from Stewart County, and this is her second time at the Capitol. So let's make them welcome.
Representative Burkhart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a shadow also from Stewart County. Miss Beth Young is right there standing up. She's a senior at Stewart County and Representative Reedy's district, and she'll be attending UT Chat this fall. And please welcome her.
And the chairman will take personal privilege. I too have a shadow, the best shadow. Her name is Sarah Wetzel. She's from Jefferson County. She's in the 10th grade, and this is her very first time at the Capitol. So make her. Any other announcements or personal orders? Seeing none, we'll jump into today's business. We only have 98 bills on the calendar, so bear with us as we need to jump around to take care of a few people today that have other commitments and bills in other committees and chairing other committees. So the first bill we're going to take up is item number 1090 by Representative Gant. Proper motion and second. Representative Grant, I do see that you have an amendment. Can you please give us your drafting code?
004644.
That is correct. Got a proper motion and second. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Yes.
Without objection, we'll place amendment number 4644 on the House Bill 1090. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. You're on your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill is brought by our Speaker Sexton. The goal of this bill is to study how we can better prepare inmates for successful reintegration into the community. The bill calls for a study on construction and operation of a facility designed to house eligible inmates who are working to reenter society after incarceration. The study will be conducted by the Department of Corrections, must include a list of criteria for determining which inmates are best suited to live in the facility. Number two, the percentage of inmates who are currently unable to participate in work, educational, vocational programs due to capacity issues. Number three, when the optimal time for inmates to enter the facility would be. And four, an evaluation of issues associated with housing inmates in a facility where they work during the day and return at night. And five, the resources needed to successfully operate the facility. Six, an assessment of similar facilities from other states and the cost associated with constructing that facility. The study will be funded through the existing resources within the Department of Corrections and must be submitted to the Speakers of the House and Senate by January 1st of 26. By helping eligible inmates reintegrate successfully into society, this bill aims to reduce recidivism, improve public safety, and promote successful reentry into communities. Ultimately, the reentry facility will support a more effective criminal justice system, benefit individuals and their families, and improve overall community well-being. And Mr. Chairman, I move passage, and I'll stand for any questions.
You've heard the explanation of the bill from the sponsor. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Representative Dixie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It sounds like you're doing a study on work release. Don't we already have programs like that involved in this state? And my next question is, it sounds like TDOC is going to do this study, and I don't know if they're the best suited to do this study, especially with the failing of as many audits as I can remember. I don't know why we wouldn't have an outside agency to do something that we already know that it's needed and can work, and we know how it works. And my third question is, there appears that we're going to build another facility that's going to have to be paid for, and who's going to pay for it?
Representative Gant, you're recognized.
Let's go back. You threw three questions at me real quick. Go back to your first question. Let me try to answer that one.
Representative Dixie.
It appears that we have a work release program already in place, and why aren't we using that? And there's no need to recreate the
Representative
wheel.
Gant.
That's totally outside this legislation.
Representative Dixie.
Clearly, the way that you defined what they're going to be studying clearly is the definition of a work release program. Are they not going to be leaving the facility to go work and then come back?
Representative Gant.
again, this is a study. This is not a piece of legislation that is making any orders on how we treat that. This is strictly a study.
All right.
Representative Dixie for a follow-up.
Okay. Basically, the third question, we'll skip the second one. The third question is, it sounds like you're gonna study to build a new facility. Who's gonna pay for that?
Representative Gant.
That will come out in the study.
Anybody else have questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. We're voting on House Bill 1090, moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please say yes on the board or no on the board. Madam Clerk, please open the board. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 17 ayes, 2 nays, 0 present not voting.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman.
House Bill 1094 by Representative Butler. Representative Butler will be presenting from his seat. You have a proper motion. Is there a second? There is a proper second. You're recognized, Representative Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This legislation names the Southern Stars Symphonic Brass Band as the official brass band of Tennessee. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll renew my motion.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1094. Moving on to calendar rules. All in favor, please say aye. Well, I'm sorry. Let's go back and vote it on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
$19 ayes, 1 nay, 0 present not voting.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. All right, we're jumping over to, let's see, do we see Representative Gant? Is he in the room? Okay, so. No, Representative Garrett's who I was looking for. I may have said again, I apologize. Let's move on to item number 17. This is House Bill, let me get my numbers right. House Bill 1420 by Chairman Hicks. Got a proper motion in a second. Representative Hicks, you are recognized on House Bill 1420.
All right, thank you, Chairman, Committee. House Bill 1420 simply allows the city of Rogersville to hold an advisory, non-binding referenda.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Question's been called on the bill. We're ready to vote on House Bill 1420. Moving on to calendar and rules. All in favor, please say aye. That's good, because I'm glad you're all a lot of help today. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote. We need to go back to 17.
Mr. Chair, you have 21 ayes, 0 nays.
I do too. Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Okay, let's go to item 19. House Bill 480 by Chairman Hicks. Do I have a motion? Proper motion and seconded. Chairman Hicks, I do see that you're recognized on your bill.
All right, thank you very much, Chairman, Committee. House Bill 480, one of the most challenging tasks for surveyors is conducting retracement surveys on parcels of land with vague or poorly written legal descriptions in their deeds. So currently Tennessee statute does not specify who should craft legal descriptions. And so this particular bill that I'm proposing places the responsibility of drafting legal descriptions for newly created land parcels, easements, et cetera, on the surveyor to ensure accuracy and clarity.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor on House Bill 480. Any questions for the sponsor? Question has been called. We're ready to vote on House Bill 480. Moving on to calendar rules. Please vote on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change the vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 21 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Okay, we're going to jump back to item 17. This is House Bill 910 by Representative Whip Garrett. We have a proper motion in second. Mr. Whip, I do see that we have some amendments. Which one would you like to run, or both?
The amendment ending in 6224, Mr. Chairman.
All right, amendment number 6224. I got a proper motion. Is there a second? It's properly seconded. You'd like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, we're voting on amendment 6224 going on House Bill 910. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. If you'd like to be recorded as a no, make sure the clerk sees you. Bill's now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Committee. House Bill 910, as amended, moves the Tennessee Human Rights Division to the Attorney General's office and creates a new Division of Civil Rights Enforcement. What it also does is it adds an additional claim that can be pursued should you decide to discriminate someone based upon their education. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to take some questions regarding moving the Human Rights Commission under the Attorney General and creating the Division of the Civil Rights Enforcement.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Representative Dixie. Oh, Representative Chisholm then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the sponsor,
You're next.
on a wind down period, I don't see where we have a wind down period. So with the cases that they currently have, once it goes to the AG, what happens to those cases?
Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Presumably, if this travels through the committee system and is passed and signed by the governor, it is effective on the date the governor signs. The commission will wind down June 30th, and the new Civil Rights Division under the Attorney General will begin July 1, 2025. All pending cases, according to statute, are authorized to refile their cases should they choose to do so. There will not be any type of statute of limitations issue or whatsoever for any pending case that's gone on through that time until July 1, 2025.
Representative Chisholm for a follow-up.
Yes. Do you think it'd be helpful to give them like a 6 months to 12-month wind down period to kind of get that caseload down to a certain point, and also kind of hand the baton, if you will, in a more seamless way?
Whip Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've discussed that very issue with the Attorney General and the Human Rights Commission, and I believe there's going to be plenty of time in order for any of those cases that need to be refiled, should be able to be refiled, and plenty of time to be heard and adjudicated should that desire be necessary.
Okay, one more.
Representative Chisholm, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So with those cases, would it be helpful? Never mind.
Still want to talk? Okay. All right. Next on our list is Representative Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess my concern here is I think the Human Rights Commission's done a great job over the years dealing with a lot of different issues. I understand they have a heavy caseload. Could you speak to why you think moving this, and adding these powers is useful? And then also any concerns about dealing with like fair housing cases? Is that going to impact that? Thank you.
Whip Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I do think there's what the Human Rights Commission has done has been adequate. It's been sufficient. It's been good. However, discrimination shouldn't exist. Someone that wants to decide to discriminate against someone for their fair housing, for their education, for any other purpose should be gotten rid of. And if I got a notice from our Attorney General who's charged with enforcing our pieces of legislation, that would make me a little bit more nervous. My hope would be that coming from the Attorney General, coming from what he has accomplished, what his office does to enforce the laws of our state and defend this General Assembly. My hope is that if someone gets a letter from his office that says you are being investigated for discrimination against someone that's unlawful, they're going to have the full power, full faith and credit and authority of this state to go after that discrimination. So if they ever decide to do it again, they might think twice. If their neighbor hears about it, that neighbor might think twice. If their community hears about it, that community might think twice about ever doing anything to discriminate against anyone in this state. My hope is that for the full power and faith of our Attorney General's office, that no one will discriminate against anyone. That's why I would like to move this to the Attorney General's office to make sure we can ensure the safety, make sure that no one in this state is ever discriminated against. I want the claims to reduce rather than the claims continue to rise. I want to see something happen where we're not having these issues that we're having now. And so my hope is that in this office, with the newly created division to enforce any type of civil rights violation, that's going to act as a deterrent first. And we're not going to have these types of issues happen in the future.
Representative Powell for a follow-up.
And I guess I share your same end goals. My only concern here is I've seen out of that office, with just the decision to join certain cases and participate as a state in various lawsuits. It gives me a lot of pause to move to that office. I know we obviously disagree on that, but that is my concern. And I hope that I'm wrong and that end goal that you're striving to meet is preserved. But that I do have a lot of pause with what's going on with our Attorney General's office. Thank you.
Chair Lady Littleton.
Chairman, move for previous question.
Previous question's been called. Is there objection? There is objection. We will be voting on the objection. Madam Clerk, please open the board. All in favor of objecting, please vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Wait.
Previous question, sorry.
Restate the question.
There has been objection for us to call the question. We will be voting on calling the question. All in favor of calling the question, please vote yes. Those opposed, no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Representative Mitchell, for what purpose?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I've got a parliamentary inquiry. I know we're in a hurry here. I know we got a trial to attend, but this is a very important piece of legislation.
Representative Mitchell, I will recognize you after the vote is completed.
Let's do it.
This has nothing to do with the vote.
It has a lot to do with the vote.
Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 16 ayes, 7 nays, 0 present not voting.
This bill moves on to government operations.
That was previous question.
That's a vote. Oh, that was I apologize. Guys, my mind's full. 98 bills. I just can't keep it all straight. I apologize. We're now voting on calling the question. On the bill. Madam Clerk, please open the board for voting. You're recognized, Representative Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I know we're in a hurry, but this is a very significant piece of legislation. I just left the committee where we were running up against the clock, but we had time for other people's legislation. We allowed their legislation to be heard. We asked questions on their legislation, which they thought were important, and we passed their legislation on through the committee, but we did the appropriate thing in the committee, and the chair lady's bill was questioned, and we got appropriate answers for the legislation. I'd like to have the same respect in this committee to be able to ask questions over this important piece of legislation. But again, I know some of us are in a hurry to get out of here for obvious reasons down the hillside here, but we've got things to do, and we've got obligations to the citizens of this state to do the right thing. And for me to sit here for my 70,000 and not to get asked adequate questions to this sponsor on his piece of legislation, have a problem with that. So if everybody's in such a hurry and you don't have time for questions, going back to your office, but I'm here to do a job.
Thank you, Representative Mitchell. We'll take that into consideration. The committee's already voted to call the question. We're ready to vote on House Bill 910. Moving on to government operations. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Those opposed, no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 17 ayes, 5 nays, 0 present not voting.
Bill moves on to government operations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Next on our list will be Chairman Boyd, item number 27. We got proper motion. Is there a second? Seconded. Chairman Boyd, I do recognize you on House Bill 1418.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. This bill comes to me from Lebanon Special School District. It's one of the school districts in the 46th House District, and they are simply increasing their board from a 3-member board to a 5-member board. I did get a resolution from them that was voted on 2/3. Mr. Chairman, I move passage.
You've heard the explanation of the bill from the sponsor. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1418. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor vote yes on the board or no on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Twenty-one ayes, 1 nay, 0 present not voting.
Chairman Boyd, your bill moves on to calendar and rules. We're going to take up item 28. Chairman Boyd, House Bill 1144. I do see it has an amendment. Can you please give us your drafting code?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That is Amendment Drafting Code 4905, Mr.
That
Chairman.
is correct. Do I have a motion on the amendment? Proper motion and second. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, we're voting on Amendment 4905 going on to House Bill 1144. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of this committee, I came last week with a piece of legislation. We rolled it 1 week. And so this is the bill that provides some accountability for private prisons in Tennessee with regard to the number of inmate deaths and violent activity. It was brought to me by my friend and constituent, Mr. Tim Leeper, who had a child that died in a private prison in Trousdale County in 2023. And so what this bill would do is if the death rate in a private prison was double that of a similar or equivalent state-operated facility, it would start a reduction. There would be a 10% reduction in inmates. They would be moved to Tennessee Department of Corrections prisons, Mr. Chairman. And if we could, I do have Mr. Leeper with me today. If we could go out of session, I'd love to have him testify.
We do have a guest speaker, Tim Leeper. Without objection, we'll go out of session to hear from him. We're out of session. Mr. Leeper, please come up to the table. We'll turn your mic on. Give us your name, who you're with, and you'll have 3 minutes, sir.
All right. Chairman and committee, thank you for your time. I know we're very busy today, but I'm grateful for the time and opportunity to get to talk to you. As some of you know, my 25-year-old son, Kylan Leeper, died in a private prison, Trousdale Turner. It's a core civic prison. Now a son who is 4 years old will grow up without a father. Today, I want to share with you the irreparable damage that core civic has done to my family and hundreds more in Tennessee through poorly managed prisons. We have chronic and intentional understaffing. There are not enough guards to run a safe and secure prison. Instead, it's become a haven for gangs dealing drugs, and these drugs are killing inmates at a distressing rate. My son was accepted to the Men of Valor program because of a lack of staff. He was never able to attend a class before his death. Contraband's coming in at an alarming rate in Trousdale. I have eyewitnesses that are set to testify about this in a lawsuit. Another concern is they're coming in primarily through staff and vendors. Not just one way, but many different ways. There are no meaningful rehabilitative opportunities. As I've said before, there are no college level classes, and what courses they do have are not staffed for the men that want to participate. There were recently 1,400 men waitlisted for a class with 23 openings. You could go 10 years into your prison and never get a spot in this class. Classification mismanagement that allows these inmates to be classed as medium security versus close or max. I believe if the state did an audit on CoreCivic prisoners, you'd likely find more than half the CoreCivic inmates are legitimately above medium classification. Inmate violence and sexual assault happen frequently. My son was stabbed the first week he got there and sat in a holding cell for 3 days with no meaningful medical attention or shower and bloody clothes. I had to send him a $10 cash out for dial soap and bandages. As you know, we also have an active federal ongoing DOJ investigation into this prison. Fentanyl overdoses are out of control. It has been reported there are 16 overdose deaths from January to November of 24. In fiscal 20 years, there are 28 deaths reported at Trousdale Turner. That is 3.5 times more than the national average mortality rate for prisons. How is it even possible? CoreCivic can't keep inmates alive. Their records prove that every single year. Instead, they're desensitized to death and human suffering. Inmates are nothing more than a profit center for CoreCivic, who use this state like their own personal ATM machine. The sooner our state divests out of private prisons, the better and safer our inmates and families are going to be. Let's lease these prisons back from CoreCivic, staff them with TDOC wardens and COs. Enough is enough. This state deserves better than CoreCivic, and my son deserved a whole lot better than CoreCivic. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for taking time and being with us today. Does anybody have any questions for the guest? Chairman Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Leap, thank you for being here today.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry for your loss. Interesting testimony. What other accountability tools do you feel would work with regard to these underperforming prisons, private prisons, such as your son is in at Truesdale?
Thank you for that. I would say that the accountability measures we've used up to this point, liquidated damages, are not effective. That's a part of their business model, and they work it into the money that they have for the year. So, you know, as I've said before, if you have $344 million contract and you get $334 million contract, that's better than no money. I also would say to that, you know, if we continue to have these fentanyl overdose deaths by, you know, the drugs that are brought in by the staff, the reason I know that's because I've hired a private investigator to investigate it. I've tied cash apps back to court, to staff in this facility, multiple. And I think that when we have overdose deaths, if you have overdose deaths in the state of Tennessee and it's fentanyl related, from what I understand from talking to the district attorney, if they can prove that, they can be charged with second-degree murder. But it happens on a regular basis in these private prisons, and nobody bats an eye. And so I would say, tell them that every time they have a death that they want to classify as accidental, but it's actually an overdose death because they're bringing these drugs in, hit them with $150,000. That family has to bury that child. And funerals aren't cheap, and they're certainly not free. So I would say that that would be a start.
All right. Thank you for your testimony.
Representative Mitchell.
Yeah, first of all, I want to apologize to you on behalf of the Tennessee General Assembly and the state of Tennessee. You know, we've known of this problem since the early 1990s. There's not been one controller's audit that hasn't found major findings of CCA/CoreCivic in every state audit of the Department of Correction since the early 90s. The General Assembly knows it. The governor knows it. The Department of Correction knows it. Over and over again, these people, have paid them billions of dollars to kill our citizens. You know, unfortunately, you know, so many in the General Assembly were there in prison. Well, they also have mothers, fathers, children on the outsides of those walls that haven't done a thing except have to pick up the pieces what CoreCivic has destroyed in this state. You know, I don't know how many more years it'll be before they have to change their name after they ruin this name. But, you know, it's our job as Tennessee General Assembly I see to hold these people accountable who are killing our citizens. If anyone
Representative
else
Mitchell,
in
get
this,
to the question, please.
if anyone else in the state was killing people at the rate Core Civic is, they'd be on trial.
Representative Burkhart.
Thank you, Chairman. Seems like that Core Civic in its audits keeps having understaffing problems. Is that something that seems to be a problem?
Mr. Leeper?
Yes, sir, it is. Understaffing is not just a function of not being able to hire people. They have a toxic work culture. And so how are you going to keep people if you continue to run them off? But I would also share with you that it's intentional, because if you're 8 people per shift, in the morning shift and the evening shift at Trousdale, they're notorious for having to call people in and bribe them to bring them to work. But if you're 8 people shift per shift, 8 COs short, that equals out, when you do the math per hour, in a year's time, that's about $23 million. And that's just for Trousdale. I don't know what it is for Whiteville, for South Central, and the other prison that they have, but that's $23 million. And so if we find them liquidated damages for 10, they keep the net 13. So they just made their 344 plus 13, and still pay liquidated damages. It looks really good on TV, looks good on the news, and it gives them something to kind of throw sacrificial lamb. But at the end of the day, it's a shell game.
Representative McCalman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Leeper, and I'm very sorry for your loss. How many deaths did the 4 Core Civic facilities have in the state versus the 10 state-owned?
Mr. Leeper?
The last, my count when I put this information together was fiscal year 23. Trousdale had 28. Core Civic collectively in the 4 prisons had 68 deaths. Now, Core Civic has about a third of the inmates, and that's around 47% of the deaths. If you take out the special need deaths, which were about 36, then that number goes to 108, and 68 of those being Core Civic, and now our number goes to 63%. So again, I know those are semantics and numbers, but those are real numbers.
Thank you, Mr. Leeper. We appreciate you, and you'll be in our thoughts and prayers. And without objection, we'll go back in session. And we're back on House Bill 1144. Chairman Boyd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move passage.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Representative Bricken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was in reviewing the legislation, the annual period, is that fiscal year, calendar year? I could not make out what the annual period would
Chairman
be.
Boyd? That would be in a rolling 12-month period. If the death amount was more than double that of an equivalent prison, that was the intention.
Representative Bricken for a follow-up.
I'm not sure how they're going to calculate that, but
yeah.
I'll.
Representative Dixie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess my question is, who would initiate this reduction or this study or this finding or this audit to make sure that this is happening?
Chairman Boyd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So that would be the Tennessee Department of Corrections. So when this information is public and if it's learned that they were more than double that of an equivalent prison, then the Department of Corrections would lower the population by 10%. There's already been a precedent set for that. Currently, that's kind of how they've dealt with some of these situations. I don't think it was to the tune of 10%, but there's already a precedent that they take inmates out. And when they do that, that hits their bottom line because they get paid per inmate. Those inmates, there's not really a cost associated with that because they're moved into Tennessee Department of Corrections prisons.
Representative Dixie, follow up.
Yeah, I was just hoping that there would be something that would trigger this like that. We would you must review this every year or something in there so that they would be able to monitor what's going on a real-time basis rather than if they were to see it or someone alerted them to it. I wish there was some more like a streamlined process that would let them the TDOC review this on an annual basis so they would know to institute the process that this bill is trying to do.
Chairman Boyd. Anything? Next on the list, Representative Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I just want, a couple of my colleagues were questioning, my comments from earlier. I want to make it abundantly clear. Democrats were in charge when we brought this evil into the state, and Republicans have made sure it's kept in good business. So there's plenty of blame to go around on both sides of the aisle on this, but bipartisanly, we need to fix it. I'm not throwing any rocks at Republicans on this. Both sides are responsible for this debacle.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. That's everybody I have on the list. So I guess we're ready to vote on House Bill 1144, moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor of moving House Bill 1144 to Finance, Ways and Means, please vote yes on the board or no on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 22 ayes, 0 nays.
Chairman Board, your bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
Representative
committee.
Rudd, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to be out of order, but I just noticed that my county trustee, Ted Beatty's in the audience. I want to welcome him to the State and Local Government Committee.
Out of order. Number 3, House Bill 1405 by Speaker Marsh. Got a proper motion and second. Speaker Marsh, I do see we have some amendments on this bill. Which ones would you like to run?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Amendment 5159 is the new one.
That is proper motion. Is there a second? Seconded. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for
Please, sir.
discussion? Without objection, we're placing Amendment 5159 onto House Bill 1405. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've had this before with you all here, but I had caught an error and put an amendment on it. This is a private act for Bedford County doing away with the road board, and the commission has approved it.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Is there any questions? Chairman Rudd.
Speaker Marsh, I'm interested about the process of how you did this, because this has come up to me in other counties. Did the road board have to vote on it, or just the county commission, or how did you handle that?
The commission did it and then asked me to carry it. And what happened was there was like 9 commissioners on the road board. All but one of them had quit, resigned. The other one said he wanted to quit too. So the commission just did away with the whole road board.
Okay.
Pretty simple.
Well, there you go.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1405. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor vote yes on the board or no on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 ayes, 0 nays.
Mr. Speaker, your bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next up, we're going to jump to item 11, House Bill 863 by Chairman Faison. Got a proper motion and second. Chairman Faison, I do see it has an amendment. Please give us your drafting code.
Well, good afternoon, committee. What drafting code do you have? I'm struggling to find mine, Mr. Chair.
That's what I figured. 5335.
I like it.
Okay, that sounds good. Would you like us to place that amendment on the?
If it so fits the
Do I have a
committee's
motion
will.
on the amendment? Got a proper motion? Is there a second? Got a proper second? We will now place Amendment 5335 on the House Bill 863. So Chairman Faison can tell us about it. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Your bill's now amended. You're recognized, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Committee, Mr. Chairman, Committee. Whew, it's been a long day up
Been
here,
a long
y'all.
day, ain't it?
I'm going to teach some of y'all a word that I learned recently, in perpetuity, and I can maybe spell it if I try.
On the bill.
Yes, sir. It is on the bill. last year we passed a bill, our former Representative Dale Carr passed a bill that allowed local governments to create their own incentives for low-income housing. The legislation had the word in perpetuity, saying that if you did get an incentive to build low-income housing, that you had to maintain and keep that property for in perpetuity. We don't think that's possible, and neither do the developers. So we're just basically saying that you're dropping it to 30 years, that you have to, if you do this and take the incentive, it's a 30-year space. That's all it
You've
does.
heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 863 as amended. Moving on to calendar and rolls. All those in favor vote yes on the board or no on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change the vote? Madam Clerk, close the board. Announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 ayes, 0 nays.
Mr. Chairman, your bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll move to item 12, House Bill 756 by Chairman Faison. Got a proper motion. Is there a second? Properly seconded. Chairman Faison, you're recognized on House Bill 756.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee, very good to be still with you. This is a bill that I brought on behalf of my mayor. He is a veteran, and since the 15 years I've been here, we have piecemealed and put together certain years for military personnel who would like to buy up to 4 years into the TCRS. There are some, depending on what year you served, you are able to do that or you're not able to do that. Basically, this bill just says all military personnel who served our country ought to be able to buy into the TCRS up to 4 years.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 756. Moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor vote yes on the board or no on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change the vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 ayes, 0 nays.
Mr. Chairman, your bill moves on to Finance,
you.
Ways and Means. Number 8, item number 8. Leader Cochran, you are recognized on House Bill 548. I do see we have some amendments, so please give us your drafting code.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe we're going to go with 006451.
That is correct. Proper motion in second on the amendment. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
That would be great if that's the will of the committee. Thank you.
Without objection, we will place amendment 6451 onto House Bill 548. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 548 is pretty straightforward. It prohibits the state from procuring any final technology products from a foreign adversarial country. There's an exception if there are absolutely no other sources for a product. So if it's a sole source, and this would be for new and re-procured contracts. So it doesn't affect any current contract, just moving forward. And then just for a little bit more clarification, a foreign adversarial country, that is defined by the U.S. Department of Commerce, or there's a list of those. Those are currently China, Cuba, Iran, North Korea, and Russia. If a country were to drop off of that list, this legislation doesn't have to be amended. It just will always go by that U.S. Department of Commerce list.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions? Representative Powell.
Thank you. I guess I understand what you're trying to do here. My concern is that we might find ourselves in a position, unfortunately, a lot of different products that are manufactured have left this country and are now, have to be sourced overseas. And you're saying final product, but say there was just a very small component to a final product that could only be ascertained, unfortunately, from one of these countries that are on the list. And then also placing the burden on the manufacturer then to go back and go through all that list for any products that then have a procurement contract with Tennessee. I think there could be some really severe unintentional consequences. And I hate to see that while something is mostly, or but not wholly created in this country, and not taking any of the products from those countries, sometimes something might end up, and I think it could slow down the procurement process. But if you could address that, I'd appreciate it.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, it does not apply to components. And so that's explicit in the bill. It has to be a final product. So if that product has a component from China, that does not make it ineligible for procurement. So I appreciate the question, and thanks for the opportunity to clarify.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 548. Moving on to calendar and rules. Madam Clerk, please open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, you will close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 19 ayes, 2 nays, 1 present not voting.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Next on the agenda is House Bill 550 by Leader Cochran. Leader Cochran, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So again, House Bill 550, this one's pretty straightforward as well. Requires employers participating in the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System to also allow private entities to provide information and educational materials about their retirement plans. They would do that. They could do that on the employer's premises, but after hours. To be honest with you, committee, this is happening already. There have been a couple instances where maybe the state vendor has sort of pushed back on this a little bit. We're just clarifying, look, we don't want to box out private providers of these benefits as well. We want to give everyone an opportunity to present their products to these employees. I'll yield to any questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 550. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board or no on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 22 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Leader Cochran, I do see we also have a House Joint Resolution. Would you like for us to roll that 1 week or roll to the Hill?
Yes,
or you
sir.
want to take it up?
Let's roll to the Hill, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate
Without
that.
objection, this bill be rolled to the Hill.
Thank you.
We'll jump over to item 24, Chairman Hastings' bill, House Bill 1415. We have received a resolution 2/3 vote. Chairman Hastings, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This Private Act came from me at the request of the resolution from Chester County. It adds motorcycles, side-by-sides, and 1-ton and heavier trucks to their motor vehicle privilege tax. That'll be glad to answer any questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1415. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board or no on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 18 ayes, 2 nays, and 1 present not voting.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We're going to go to Representative Stinnett, item number 4. Representative Stinnett has a plane to catch, so we're going to try to get his bill done.
Thank you, Chairman.
This is House Bill 1321. Representative Stinnett, you're recognized on your bill. Do we have a motion and second? Motion second, you're recognized.
Yes, sir. This comes from the Department of Transportation, Tourism. The legislation is to rename Tourism Division as the Marketing Division. It's a title that better reflects the department, actual operation, and the priorities. In addition to renaming the division, it's going to establish a divisional head who's appointed by the Commissioner of Tourism. This person will oversee the strategy and marketing and the efforts to promote Tennessee's unique attractions and cultural and new investments and the comprehensive support of tourism enterprises. This legislation formally formalizes the responsibility of the Welcoming Center Division, their training and their the facilities, landscaping, and engaging in the visitors as Tennessee, as their heritage, as people come across the state line and through the centers. Currently, Tourism Division is tasked with supervising the state welcome centers, but this term is not defined in law. For decades, the Department of Transportation Development, and they have worked with the centers together. This legislation formalizes the partnership, and it also streamlines the funding. It will take money, the transportation will put money back into the Tourism Division to be able to take care of the welcome centers. This legislation refines and strengthens the Department of Tourism Development and the statute framework by the Marketing and the Welcoming Centers Division. This changes aligns the department current operations, ensuring the department can continue its vital role supporting the Tennessee's tourism industry. I stand for questions.
You've heard the reading of the bill. Does any member have any questions for Representative Stinnett? We will start with Chair Lady Littleton.
Previous question.
Previous
I'm sorry.
question has been called. It's an undebatable, so we will be voting on House Bill 1321, moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board or no on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means. Jumping over to item 59, guys, 59. Representative Stinnett, this is House Bill 140. We got a proper motion and second. You're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Chairman. This bill comes from the Comptroller's Office. It's the Human Resource Agency audits. There is 9 of those in the that they deal with, and the current law requires the Comptroller's Office that they have to review all the paperwork and approve it before they pay these auditors. That is inconsistent with the other auditors that they deal with. So what this legislation does is that it removes the requirement from the Comptroller's Office so it can approve these audits and working papers the same as they do the rest of the auditors in the state of Tennessee. This will be consistent with how other auditors perform by their contractual auditors and the way they handle it. I stand for questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 140, moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board or no on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 21 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Next on the list is item 60. Representative Stinnett, I have a request for this bill to be rolled 1 week. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Without
Thank you.
objection, we'll roll this bill 1 week. Item 61, House Bill 379 by Representative Stinnett. Proper motion and second. You're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. This comes from the Secretary of State. It clarifies the parties that are required to register with the professional solicitors under the Charitable Solicitation Act. All it does is clarify that lawyers and accountants who just give advice to these agencies do not have to register with the Secretary of State. The definition of somebody who does have to register with him, someone who solicits, someone who collects the money, and someone who holds the money. So if you are not one of those three, you do not have to register with the Secretary of State.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions for the sponsor? Question has been called. We're ready to vote on House Bill 379. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board or no on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Come on, guys. Come on, somebody. I'll do it. Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 22 ayes, 1 nay.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Okay, we're going to jump over to item 22. Representative Halsey, please, Chairman Halsey, I should say. House Bill 335 by Chairman Halsey. I do see we have some amendments. Please give us your drafting code.
Well, thank you, Chairman. I can't find, yes,
That doesn't
5992.
surprise me.
5992.
5992, that is correct. Would you like us to place it on the bill for discussion?
Please do that, sir.
Without objection, we're adding amendment 5992 onto House Bill 335. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr.
Halsey.
Chairman. All this bill does is give permission for the Bluntville Utility District to raise their pay for the members that are on that board from $300 to $500. If I can talk, that's what it does.
Is that what it does?
That's what it does.
Can you say that again? None of us understood what you
thank
said.
you, Mr. Chairman. This bill just gives.
Okay. Any questions for the sponsor? The question, Chairman Moon, you're recognized. Question has been called on the bill. All those in favor of House
Call the
Bill
question.
335, moving on to Finance, Ways and Means, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to Finance. Well, now, see, there you go. There you go. Get me all tore up again. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 22 ayes, 0 nay.
Chairman Halsey, your bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
We're going to jump to item 13. Chairman Vaughn. We have a proper motion and second. Chairman Vaughn, you're recognized on House Bill 913.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just first, let me say, for those out there taking shots, chairmaning is hard. House Bill 913 does two things, Mr. Chairman. It requires that any amendment to a municipality's charter not be placed on the ballot if the amendment is in violation of the state constitution or state law. And then the second thing it do is the bill would also require that any legal challenge to a proposed charter amendment about whether or not it violates the constitution or state law must be heard and determined by a 3-judge panel.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsors. Any question for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 913. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor vote yes on the board. Those opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 19 ayes, 3 nays, and 1 present not voting.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you very much.
Item 14, House Bill 795 by Chairman Vaughn. We do have proper motion and second. I see it has an amendment. Please give us your drafting code. Wait till we get the code out.
6453, sir.
6453, proper motion and second. Would you like us to place that on the bill for discussion?
Yes, sir, please.
Without objection, all those in favor of having amendment number 6453 onto House Bill 795, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, if I could, now that it's in proper amended portion, if I could take a week to try to resolve a baffling fiscal note on it, I would appreciate that. So if I could be rolled with this item for 1 week, I'll try to come back with you and hopefully I can make some sense of it then.
Without objection, we'll roll this bill 1 week. Item number 15, proper motion and second on House Bill 1066. We have amendments on this bill as well. Please give us your drafting code.
Yes, sir. It's drafting code 6342 is the
That
most
is
recent.
correct. Do I have a motion on the amendment? Proper motion and second on the amendment. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Yes, please.
Without objection, we're placing amendment number 6342 onto House Bill 1066. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill is now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, sir. Members, this legislation was born out of an effort to improve vending machine service in the Cordell Hall building in the Capitol. It has since taken on additional things. It increases more accountability measures to make for our vendors, but it also creates and implements a program that would provide vocational rehabilitation customers or eligible individuals with disabilities the opportunity to operate vending facilities on public properties. These individuals would have essentially the right of second refusal for projects in which the blind vendors who have the existing contract have priority under state and federal law. And this would give more vocationally rehabilitation customers more opportunities within this vending sphere. So what we've done is we think we've added accountability to our existing vendors and we provided additional opportunities for those with disabilities.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1066 as amended. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please say aye. No, let's go to the board. That wasn't good enough. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Tried to help you out there, Chairman. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 22 ayes, 0 nays.
Your bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. See y'all next week.
We're going to take up item number 50, Representative Travis. Got a proper motion and second. This is House Bill 462. No amendments on the bill. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. This bill right here, if you're elected to the General Assembly after July 1st, 2014, and you serve 10 years, you will be able to go to the hybrid plan to the legacy plan.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsors. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 462. Moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 22 ayes, 0 nays.
Representative Travis, your bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Item 52, House Bill 51, I'm sorry, House Bill 463. Got a proper motion in second. Representative Travis, no amendments. You're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Also, this is a member of the General Assembly that has been elected on July the 1st, 2014 with a health insurance plan with the state. After 10 years of service, you would be available for that plan.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Representative McCalman. Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, Representative McCalman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Though I'm out of order, but I'd like to welcome our Williamson County trustee, Ms. Karen Paris, here, if y'all would make her feel welcome.
Out of order, we're ready to vote on House Bill 463. Moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor vote yes on the board or no on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 present not voting.
Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Doggett. We're going to item number 20. Hang on just a second.
Okay.
21.
I need a thumbs up, yes.
Okay, House Bill 577 by Chairman Doggett. Do I have a motion? Proper motion and second. I do see we have an amendment. Please give us your drafting code.
Well, Mr. Chairman, would you be so kind to provide that drafting code for me?
That drafting code is 4150.
I do not wish to proceed with that amendment, no, sir.
Okay, no
Withdraw
amendment. All right. You're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee. This is a bill I've been working with the Sheriff's Association. Tennessee currently reimburses the counties at about $41 per day unless the jail is a tier 1 or a tier 2 certified facility. For most counties, the daily rate, excuse me, does not cover the full cost to the county. The fiscal note estimates it to be around $50, but most sheriffs would say it's above $60 per day is what they're having to.
Representative Doggett, Chairman Doggett, I apologize. This is a caption bill and we cannot run this bill without the amendment.
All right. Stand by.
Would you like us to roll you down the hill? You're recognized.
Was that amendment that you offered to remind me 4150?
It was 4150.
I apologize. You were correct on that. I do need that amendment.
We got a proper motion in second and we'll go ahead and place the amendment on the bill. So all those in favor of amendment 4150 going on to House Bill 577, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. You're recognized on a real bill.
Thank you. It's been a long day.
It has.
You want me to start over?
No.
Okay.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Does anybody have any questions for the sponsor? The question has been called. We're ready to vote on House Bill 577 as amended. Moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor, vote on the board. Yes or no? Madam Clerk, open the board. Has everyone voted? Does anyone wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 23 ayes, 0 nay.
Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank y'all.
Item 22.
I need a lot of help.
Okay. This is House Bill 3. We done that one. We've done it. All right. We will get who has been patiently waiting. Madam Alexander, Ms. Representative, would you please come to the podium? That's her motion.
Thank you, Chairman.
We're jumping over to item 37, House Bill 1361. It does have an amendment. Do I have a motion on the bill? Proper motion and second on the bill. This is amendment. Please give us your drafting code.
Would that be 4732?
That is correct. Got a proper motion and second on the amendment. We'll place the amendment on the bill for discussion. Without objection, we're voting on amendment number 4732 going on to House Bill 1361. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. You're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, committee. This bill was brought to me by my locals. It designates a portion of our downtown Johnson City area as a premier tourist resort, allowing Johnson City to set its alcohol by the drink sale hours. We're having a tremendous amount of problem in the downtown area between 1 and 4 o'clock in the morning. That's where all of our violence has taken place, any murders, shootings, brawls, you name it, we've had it. We're having to dedicate most of our police force down to that area. And we just need to be able to shut it down a little bit earlier. We got a lot of residents that live downtown about those old buildings.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1361, moving on to calendar and rules. Madam Clerk, please open the board. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 ayes, 0 nays, 1 present not voting.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Representative Darby. Okay, item 31, House Joint Resolution 2. Chairman Darby, you are recognized on your House Joint Resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. HJR number 2, I hope ends the multi-year effort to include in our state's constitution, the state of Tennessee should never collect a statewide property tax. Prior to 1949, Tennesseans were issued a property tax on the state level. Through this, the state acquired a lot of property as a result, especially during the Great Depression, as property owners could not meet the additional financial burden. And to keep that from happening again, I hope this passes.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Joint Resolution 2, moving on to finance. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 ayes, 0 nays, 1 present not voting.
Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and
Chairman
committee.
Bolso. House Bill 52, I do see that we've got a proper motion in second. I do see it has a drafting code. Please give that to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 004944.
That is correct. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill to be discussed?
Yes, please.
Without objection, do I have a second on that amendment? Second, okay. Without objection, we're voting on Amendment 4944 going on to House Bill 52. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. You're recognized on your amended bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, members of the committee. We have for more than 50 years provided a local property tax exemption to our permanently and totally disabled veterans in Tennessee. The last time that we adjusted the amount has actually been 20 years ago, back in 2006. It was raised from $150,000 to $175,000 in 2006. But just in Davidson County alone, fair market value of residential property in the last 10 years has doubled. What this bill does is to increase the exemption for our disabled veterans from $175,000 to $250,000. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I stand ready for questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions? Representative McCalman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Chairman Bolso. Thank you for bringing this bill. It's a good bill. Any way we can help our disabled veterans, we should, and I commend you in your efforts to bring this. So just wanted to get that out there.
Representative Salinas.
In your bill, it doesn't specify, it just says veterans. Does this include people that were dishonorably discharged, since it's
Chairman
not specified?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The bill already keeps the definition in statute for permanently and totally disabled veterans. As I'm standing here, Representative, I do not recall whether there is a carve out for dishonorably discharged veterans. I just do not know.
Representative Salinas.
Can we go to legal on that?
Okay. Without objection, we'll go out of session to hear from legal. Out of session. Legal, you are recognized.
Thank you, Matt Mundy from Legal. Reading from 675704. Disabled veteran means a person who has served in the armed forces of the United States and who has, and there's several criteria. And one of them is that under no conditions shall property tax relief extend to any person who has been dishonorably discharged from any of the armed services.
Any other questions for legal while we're out of session? Representative Salinas, do you have a question for legal?
So that was the statute or the definition is, can you clarify?
Thank you,
Legal.
Matt. Yeah, thank you, Matt Money from Legal. Yes, that's the part of the definition for disabled veterans. So someone who's been dishonorably discharged would not qualify for the exemption.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for legal? Seeing none, we'll go back in session. We are back in session. Representative Bolso, you're recognized on House Bill 52.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I simply renew my motion.
Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 52. Moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor, please say aye. Oh, I'm sorry. On the board, Madam Clerk, open the board. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 21 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means. No. Have you got another bill? Which one?
SJR 17.
What number? That's 33. Okay, guys, 33 is the number. All right. Senate Joint Resolution 17, we've got a proper motion and second. Chairman Bolso, you're recognized on Senate Joint Resolution 17.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have an amendment that may be traveling, drafting code 004283.
It's the naming and designating amendment. We don't have to put it.
Okay, that's the naming and designating amendment, and it does not have to be put on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, you're recognized.
Members, this is the resolution that originally was on our consent calendar honoring our 39th president, President Jimmy Carter. I bumped it off the consent calendar because I wanted to add some important details about his presidency, including the fact that he was able to bring 52 American hostages home alive after 444 days of captivity in Iran. Also, I was aware that President Reagan had made some very moving remarks honoring President Carter on October 1 of 1986 when he was in Atlanta on the campus of Emory University dedicating the Carter Presidential Library and Museum. And so having added those items to the resolution, I respectfully request that we go ahead and move it back onto the House floor where it can be properly approved. Thank you.
You've heard the explanation of SJR 17. Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on SJR. Moving on to calendar, SJR 17, moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor vote yes on the board or no on the board. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 22 ayes, 0 nays.
Chairman Bolso, your bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
All right, committee and our guest with us today, we've got a hard stop. We've got another committee coming in right behind us. So all the bills that are left on the calendar will be rolled to next week. Without objection, we'll roll them to next week. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Proper motion and second, we're adjourned. I'll take it.